What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady. This story's called Technicians Are Copy Shop Workers Now? Hey there, I am a really huge fan of this subreddit and have a really good story to share, so here it goes. I am a male 25-year-old IT system technician in Germany. The company I work for is specialized in printers and copiers. This happened a couple of months ago. Let me explain the actors in this situation. Their shop owner, me, oblivious dip turd, who is the idiot who I thought worked there, and casual shopper, police officers 1 and 2. I'll figure their voices out later. The following is loosely translated from German. So we got a call from a customer with a problem with his copier in the shop. The customer has a small copy shop, which is not unusual for us. So I got the ticket and packed my stuff together to drive to the customer and fix the issue that he is having with the copier. As I arrive, shop owner tells me what is wrong with the machine and I get to work. The problem with the machine is that he has installed a wrong toner cartridge into the system, and he is not accepting that he did, so I had to disassemble half of this thing. As I do that, I have one earbud in so I can have a little fun working on the system, and so I can concentrate a little bit better, but have the other ear free to hear anything out of order or directed at me. So I'm 30 minutes into disassembly, and a regular dude walks in. Casual shopper. He's wearing cargo shorts, a Hawaiian shirt, and sunglasses. Right after him, the chaos came in. Oblivious dip turd walked right up to me and the following conversation ensued. Hey there, can I have a sec of your time? Sure, what do you need? I want to have some files that I have on my USB stick printed, and I want one of them printed on a canvas. Sorry, I don't work here. I'm just the technician. I'm fixing this. No, I don't think you catch me. I need this printed like yesterday, so chop. Wait a sec, like I told you just a second ago, I don't work here. Do you think I'm blind or something? You are in a copy shop playing with a copier and think I can't put 2 and 2 together? You have to work here. Narrator chiming in, I have to inform you, dear reader, we don't have a work uniform because we are a small company and we are dressed pretty casually. I was wearing blue jeans and a black t-shirt. Shop owner, you have customers? I'll be right there. Man, I have to tell shop owner that he has to fire you because of your attitude. You are so rude to your customers. Me going back to work and tilting my head to my left so I can see the back of the system. As I said, I don't work here. As I do that, he notices the earbud in my left ear and goes to town on me. He basically yelled at the top of his lungs. Do you think this is funny that you can have earbuds in while working and talk crap to me, you little dip turd? How old are you anyway? You can't be older than 17. I just shaved the day before. You can't just pretend to play with the copier and expect me to believe that you don't work here. You can't be here on your own. I'm just ignoring him by this time. I just do my work. Please don't bother me. This is a very delicate machine and I have to concentrate on what I'm doing. He babbles on some kind of threat of getting me fired, which I ignored. Good day, what can I do for you? You can fire this guy, he points at me, and not call the police because you are a child laborer. Shop owner confused. I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. You have to fire this kid. But he doesn't work here, so I can't fire him. He's from an external company that sells and fixes printers and copiers. So what can I do for you? That's it, you just want to protect him. You will hear from me. He storms out of the shop. Shop owner standing there with his mouth open, just dumbfounded, including casual shopper. So what the heck was that? Casual shopper says, I have no idea what his mission was. He thought I worked here because I'm fixing a copier. Casual shopper and shop owner were talking about the incident for 5 minutes, and casual shopper placed his order. After about 5 minutes, the police stopped in front of the shop, and I saw oblivious dip turd creepily looking around a nearby house corner. The police came into the shop and asked what had happened because they were called because of a child laborer, and that caller had been threatened to get his crap kicked in if he didn't leave. We, the 3 grown men, explained the situation to the officers, and they didn't really understand why the caller had called in the first place. To all our surprises, the oblivious dip turd came into the shop again, yelling and screeching that, "Oh good, the police is here. This shop has to be shut down." Police Officer 1 says, "Sir, can I have your name, please? Were you the one who called us?" "Yes, I was. The name is..." Generic German name. "So what is the issue here?" "He is too young to work here," points at me again, "and he is really just a brat because he insulted me." Police Officer 2 looking at me, "How old are you?" "I'm 25 years old, sir." "He's lying. Look at him." "How could I lie if I'm here by car and my company is literally 100 kilometers away?" "Can I see your ID and your license, please?" "Sure." I pull out wallet and show it to him. "Oh, clear. He didn't lie." "These have to be fake." "So, what was that about the threat?" "The shop owner threatened me to kick my crap in if I don't leave the store." "Shop owner, is that the truth?" "Nope, this is not true. I can show you that this is not true." Police Officer 1, Police Officer 2, and especially oblivious dip turd looks surprised at that. This location is covered by CCTV is not only for show. This is not legal to film me without my consent. Actually, this is perfectly fine because he has a warning sign on the door. Shop owner takes a little monitor and little speakers from under the counter and set them on it. Scrolled a little, clicked a couple times to the time the two men came into the shop. The whole convo I wrote above was played back. Oblivious dip turd was red from anger, and I think he wanted to sink into the ground. Oblivious dip turd turned on his heels and wanted to run out of the shop, but the door stopped him because he didn't remember that the door swings inward and slammed against it. The officers then scooped him up and put him into cuffs. They watched the rest of the playback and asked us all, including the casual shopper, if we wanted to press charges for harassment, to which I and the other two declined. He was charged with slander and misusing the distress call. I finished my work and had a good laugh afterwards with shop owner and casual shopper who stayed and drank a coffee. I told my coworkers and my bosses and they burst out laughing. The oblivious dip turd got 1 year probation because of the charges the police had against him. Let me know if you want some more stories. I have a lot because we are a small company. We get a lot of stories, including r/Tales from Tech Support, I messed that up, or malicious compliance. This story's called, Today I Fudged Up by Playing with My Food, Making My Bosses Think I Was Doing Drugs. I was on my way to work and decided to stop at Tim Hortons for some Timbits. Donut holes for you Americans. It's our Dunkin' Donuts up here. I got a mix of my favorites, plain, no glaze, and raspberry filled with icing sugar. I stuff the box into my lunchbox and go to work. Time comes for my short break, so I decide to eat some of my Timbits. My coworker and I usually eat in the second cafeteria, now at a distance from other people, so we sit a few tables away from each other and try throwing the Timbits to catch in our mouths. I missed catching a raspberry Timbits, and it hit my upper lip, leaving the white icing sugar all around my nose area too. I wipe off what I thought was all of it, but clearly missed some spots under my nose, and my friend didn't tell me. We go back to work, and this notorious snitch kept looking at me weirdly, and I didn't know why. Couple minutes later, I get called to the boss's office with no clue why. So I walk down to the office, and two of my supervisors are sitting with the big boss man. They all looked pissed. I sit down and they start questioning me about why I've been at work so much more than normal working long hours. I'm a student and my classes are all online now, and I went from working 10 to 15 hours per week to 8 to 10 per day plus weekends. I tell them about my school being online and I have more time, but they don't look like they're buying it. Then they get right into it and ask me why I'm doing drugs at work, if I bought it here, and all the legal implications they're going to have to take. I'm freaking out, as I don't use any drugs in or out of work. I ask where this came from as I tell them I don't use anything and would never at work, and one of them hands me a pocket mirror and tells me to look under my nose. I start laughing and explaining the Timbit situation in the lunchroom. They're not buying it, so they tell me to wait in the room and they all leave. They go to watch the security footage, and lo and behold, they see us pelting each other with Timbits and me getting hit in the face. They come back in the room laughing, explaining how they're sorry and that I should clean my nose better, and tell me I can head back to work. Upside of this, got an extra 30-minute break from working. Downside, almost had a heart attack at 22. Alright, this story's called Sorry Lady, I work here to fix your crap, but I'm not an employee. Hi Reddit! I sorted old papers when I found some reminders of this story. A little explanation. I am a security expert. My main profile is facility security and fire prevention. On demand, I give information about work safety and environmental hazards. Enterprises hire me to find the risks they face. It means that at first contact, I have a first glance of my future client's site. We have a talk about what they need, then I tell how many on-site days that will cost them. The task includes interviews, examination of regulations, and, of course, assessment of the complex. It's not a job that can be done 100% in a suit and tie. There are dirty places where I have to climb, and although I use a drone for high places, sometimes I have to climb industrial ladders, etc. For such occasions, I use military khaki coveralls with caterpillar boots. Work helmets and safety ropes if necessary will be important later. After the on-site days, I will prepare my report in the form requested, but it is not uncommon for management to ask for a presentation in addition to the documents where questions can be asked. This is especially true when the company that commissioned me already had problems. This is also important later. On to the story. So I was hired by the owner of a company of rising activity. Big enough site, industrial buildings, heavy machinery, spectacular office building. The owner is a smart guy, a pleasant conversationalist, but the kind with whom you count your fingers after a handshake. We agreed on what he wanted to investigate, how many days it was for him, and what I needed to access, all for how much. The guy knew he wasn't throwing away the money he was paying me. Annoying thefts took place and he did other things, but I refrained from talking about them because that would have oriented my research. At companies this size, in many cases, the security and the fire prevention is regarded as a kind of inner service, provided by the facility management department. This was the case at this company too. When I begin a job like this, I always begin with the interviews of the security personnel. It's a good source of intel and they will know me from day one, so no confusion on the following days. I went on with them, checked the camera system, burglar alarm, access control, fire alarm, etc. By the time I get to corporate policies, I have already found serious shortcomings. But the dirty part only followed. It was scheduled for the beginning of the second day to interview the head of the FMD. But when I showed up at her office at the allotted time, I only found her very embarrassed assistant there. The young lady said, "Mrs. Name had to leave and was only expected in the afternoon." But she was willing to help. I didn't tell her. It took me enough effort to overcome her initial embarrassment, but the conditions I could examine with her help were hair-raising. The third day was the day where I put my workwear, helmet, camera, tablet, and measuring instruments. The places I had to reach had access from the inside parking lot. Some of the parking spots were marked for top management, who had company cars. The top management, 4 people, parked large but not ostentatious cars in the dedicated parking lots, alongside a few more modest company cars for lower-ranking managers. I was ready to climb a 20-meter, or around 65 feet, high industrial ladder. What takes 2 hands, so I turned the camera on. I needed a few seconds to put my gloves on when I heard this. I had it on cam too. "Hey, you!" I looked in the direction of the voice. It was a woman, very manager-like, very bossy, and the arrogance shone from her. She was approximately 5 feet 6 inches, fit and plastic with a modeled, expensive hairstyle. Apart from her, I was the only one in the parking lot, so it could not be a mistake to whom the kind words were addressed. Before I could speak, she continued in a commanding voice. "Grab my box and put it in my car. Come on, move!" Usually I am a polite, not to say chivalrous guy, but only with humans. She did not act like one by my standards, so I told her, "No, I'm busy. Do it yourself." And I begin to climb the ladder. After a moment of dead silence, I heard her shout, "How dare you! Who is your boss? I will get you fired!" I did not care for the ranting, but I was already more than 7 feet high on the ladder, when I felt her grab my ankle.
"Come back down at once! I am speaking to you!"
she shouted. "Listen," I told her. "I don't know you, but I presume you think that I am an employee here. I am not. Those people working in the industrial buildings, they wear blue. Janitors wear red. Guards wear black. They probably endure when you speak to them in such a tone. I do not. I'm climbing this ladder now. If you let go of my ankle, I will climb alone. If you don't let go, you will come with me." She was so surprised that she let go of my ankle. I climbed the ladder, but I still heard her huff and puff. She found someone else to load her car. Then she went away. I noted the number of her parking. Sometime later, I edited my report. The owner scheduled a meeting with top management and Mrs. Name, who, as head of FMD, was responsible for the activities I had to investigate. At the time of the meeting, I arrived some 5 minutes early, but the 4 big bosses were already there. We were just waiting for Mrs. Name while we talked about nothing. In a few words, it was obvious that all 4 had read my report and had questions. It escape my attention that as a kind of in-house joke, bets were made on how much Mrs. Name would be late. She arrived 10 minutes late. The owner won the bet. When the owner presented me, first she got red, then white. She was the rude lady of the parking lot. When I began my presentation, she was aggressive and arrogant, but I left no place for doubt. So when I was finished, she was completely devastated. In short, the company risked a fine of approximately $60,000 due to a series of irregularities and thefts, and material damage were caused by poorly written policies and faulty contracts. This could all have been written at Mrs. Name's expense, but the management felt they could have paid more attention. As always, my report included detailed suggestions for solutions, so Mrs. Name left not with the promise of dismissal, but with as much to do as she had never experienced before. Even then and there, they asked me for a check back 3 months later. The check back was only 1 day, but I was with Mrs. Name for almost 7 hours that day, who was looking at my eyes no more than 5 times in total from that time. Edit. I saw many comments asking, "Why was she not fired?" I have to tell you, the management leaders also felt guilty, and for a reason. It was a fast-growing company where one of the consequences of the growth was the emergence of new risks and legal obligations, and the new safety and fire prevention tasks were simply put around this lady's neck without any special support. Yet, one of the 4 top managers was also the company's lawyer, and the other was the logistics boss. Mrs. Name had done an excellent job with facility management until then, but did not cope with the new tasks. And because it's a rather militant nature, it was thought that his complaints about safety and fire prevention were just the usual lightning and thunder. I know this because some 2.5 years later, when the company went from 1 site size to a 4 site size, she was the one who asked me for a consultation. At the time, she was much more confident in her duties and a much calmer, more civilized person. And it's been a few years since. I don't know what can happen to her now. Hey, good on her for, growing up and being mature about it. That's like an impossible task for many people, so it's appreciated.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.